Hey, what's up guys and welcome back to Anime Making 3, and I'm back with part 12 of What If Naruto Got the Karma Seal from a rogue Otsutsuki. Remember to get this one to 100 like as usual, share this to all of your friends in your social media platform, and also guys, don't forget to go ahead and check out the other channels which I post What If on every single day for you guys to enjoy. Yes, that's correct, I indeed have 4 channel guys. Links will be down in the description, so go ahead, check them out, and yeah, enjoy. And also, don't forget to turn on the bell notification to see exactly when I post, because I do post a hell of a lot. So without further ado or wasting any more time, what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode begin now guys? So the last part that we left off, Naruto woke up inside of a room as he looked around. The room looked rather familiar to him, as he just continued to lie there on the bed, not making too much movements. He could feel the suppression of his chakra, as he could tell that the seals were on him. However, he did not react in a way for people to know that he was already awake, as he remained perfectly still, thinking about everything that happened so far. His mind was focused on what was going on. After his talk with Yui, it turns out that he was the actual son of Minato Namikaze. A shocker if there was ever one, as he couldn't believe it. All this time, his family was right there. His real family. And he was not sure why or what happened that ended up with him being missing, taken away. So right now all he had to do was find out. He picked himself up as he started to take a good look at this room. It looked so familiar to him yet the memories were just not fully there. It did not take too long for her to enter, the woman, Kushina Uzumaki, as he figured that she was his mother. A difficult word to even say, as he never thought that he would ever have this opportunity ever in his life. However, as she stepped towards him, the first thing she did was hug him. There was already tears in her eyes as she looked towards him, telling him that everything was okay now. She understood that he must be confused, but she was here to explain everything to him. The tears came gushing out of her eyes as she held on to him. She couldn't believe that he was finally home, as Naruto would like to know what was going on. She told him that his family was here, explaining to him who he was. His name was Naruto Namikaze, and he was their family. He was her son. Naruto asked her what happened, and she told him. He was shocked, hearing that he was such a fragile boy in the beginning, causing him pain, so he decided to leave. She brought him out towards the main dining area. Sitting there was the remainder of the family. His father was there and his 2 other sisters. But Naruto was quite upset, as he asked Minato if he had any proof of this. All the man had was some allegations, but no full proof. Naruto knew the Raikage and knew that he would not just stand for something like this. And if it comes to it, war will start. Countless will die. Something that angered Naruto as he slammed his fist on the table. Angered at the man in front of him. Angered at everything. It was then that Natsume spoke up. It's almost like he didn't want to accept that they were his family. As Naruto turned to look towards her, his anger flaring up once again. She ended up leaving with tears, as Naruto felt sad. Minato told him to walk with him, as the both of them talked as they walked through the house, and they walked towards the backyard as well, where he told him a significant moment in his life, when he was younger, with a tree that Naruto had carved his family in. It pained Naruto that he could not actually remember if this was true or not. The things that he was hearing, the things that he didn't like to hear, that he was making people suffer. Yes, it truly pained him on the inside as he tried to just remain calm and keep his composure. But he knew that things would be bad when the Raikage find out about this. However, Minato was not willing to let him go back there. It doesn't matter what he has to do. He has already made his council fully aware of this, and they were in full support of not allowing Naruto to return as well. So that would eventually lead to war. Naruto pleaded with him to try and find an ulterior way, so they wouldn't have to go to war. Minato told him that he would try, but he did say that he wouldn't let him go back. He wouldn't let them take him because he was his son. While that was going on, Mito was having a conversation with Natsume to calm her down, as Natsume asked her why she wasn't upset, causing Mito to slam her fist into the wall. Of course she was upset, however she understands Naruto's point of view on this as well, and she also understands theirs, and a part of her just didn't want her to care about it because he was their brother. But she could understand. She was always the most level-headed of the two. So yes, she understands quite well. It wasn't long after that Naruto arrived. Given the fact that his chakra was suppressed, he really couldn't go too far as he apologized to Natsume for blowing up at her like that. As she told him that she understood, he was able to speak to Mito after that. The both of them having a better understanding of the situation and why Naruto reacted how he reacted. While that was going on, they finally arrived towards the location. That was the Kumo team. As they arrived without Naruto, people that knew the group started to panic, which was almost everyone. Especially Ninja-wise. It couldn't be that he lost his life in the exams, not Naruto. When they informed the Raikage of this, the man lost it. He also was able to think clearly how Minato did not provide anything such as proof that Naruto was his son. And he wouldn't allow this to happen, of course not. His speed proved to be too much for the backups that would come with him as he was running straight to Konoha. While that was going on, Naruto was able to sit down and speak to Jiraiya of the Sannin, as he remembered his first encounter with him at the hot springs. But if what everything was saying was true, it turns out that he's known him for a long while. Turns out that the both of them had a deeper bond than he thought. Because of Naruto's condition, Jiraiya always told him about his stories, and Naruto was always excited to hear them about what it felt like to be a ninja. So yes, Jiraiya, of course wanting to stay and learn more about his family, the things that he's forgotten. However, the actions that will take place if things are not sorted out would be tremendously bad. As the days pass, the Raikage arrived in less time than it took anyone to run from the village coming back, due to the man's insane speed. As he arrived at the gates, the Anvus are already there, ready to escort him towards the meeting compartment, as Minato already knew that something like this was going to happen. Yujito on the other hand, she was returning back from her mission, completely unaware of this. She was another loose cannon that will let loose as well. So yeah guys, basically as we left off, you guys can switch across the play, check it for yourself. So what do you say we jump right into this brand new episode begin? Now guys, there was a heavy tension in the air. Each and every Anvu was on their guard as they walk beside the Raikage. Not too close though. Their hands ready to draw their weapons or go through hand signs. There would be no hesitation. This man was a Kage with strength and incredible speed to match. And given the look on his face, he was not pleased in the slightest. However, Minato was not surprised either, as he expected this. Given the past interaction that he had with the Raikage, he expected something like this. However, for the man to run here himself, well, that was something. However, he was no ordinary man, was he? As he walked, he was being brought towards a large room. The two Anvus at the door were given a nod by the leading Anvu who opened the door. The moment that happened, the Raikage was able to see the man who he was furious at with every fiber of his being. There was no other person inside. In fact, all the Anvus stopped outside. As the Raikage stepped in, he did not sit. He did not hesitate. He got straight to business. "Where is he?" he said. "Minato, who was sitting down, looking as calm as ever, despite the tension that was flaring. He's not here. The Raikage eyes glanced around the room. However, he remained where he was. This was a bold show. For Kage to walk into another country. No fear, no hesitation. However, Minato would not actively start something that he could prevent. Minato was a man that always tried to seek peace, trying to stop things from going too far. And he knew in the long run, his decision today might cause countless bloodshed. As both men stared off at each other, the Raikage spoke once again. What exactly do you think would have been the outcome of your little kidnapping? As Minato looked towards him, his eyes stern. I'm afraid you got it all wrong. This is not a kidnapping, he said. The Raikage fist clenched, however, he kept himself composed as he tried to. Kept himself under control so the lightning would not start to radiate off of him. And pray tell, what exactly do you think this is, he asks. A simple retrieval. A retrieval. You kidnapping one of my shinobis and refusing to let him go, doing something that is to bring peace to the nations. Something as a tune exams, and you dare kidnap one of my shinobis, sending the others back with a letter. Who the hell do you think you are? I'm his father, said Minato. And what proof do you have of this? A single second, Minato hesitated. The Raikage almost splintered the entire office. As the vibe started to change, rage and bloodlust started to resonate even higher from the man. And that look that you just gave told me everything I need to know. You have no proof and yet you dare hold him hostage. I ask once more, who the hell do you think you are? Kidnapping one of my shinobis and keeping him here, claiming him to be your damn son. I'm going to give you 5 seconds to rectify this mistake and release my shinobi. Minato finally got up. I'm afraid that's not gonna happen, he said. The Raikage fist clenched as lightning started to sparkle around him. Minato's eyes narrowed. However, neither man attacked one another, as the rage in the room would have flattened anyone else if they were to step inside. Both men releasing the dominant affairs to show that they were in charge here. The Raikage finally spoke. Do you really want to do this, he said. Minato knew exactly what he was talking about. You have no evidence and yet you believe that you can just commandeer one of my shinobis. I have all the evidence I need, said Minato. My son went missing a few days before Naruto washed up on your land. Yes, he told us. Where he was found unconscious and brought into your village. He had no prior memory of the past and who he was. The only thing he remembered was his name. Many people might think that the name Naruto means fish cake. However, it has a double meaning, maelstrom. And I have not seen any other shinobis that are named Naruto. This might be a long shot, but I have all the evidence. His amnesia, not to mention his blood type, is unfamiliar to any other human that might reside on this planet. The Raikage did not say anything about that. Because he's special. From the day he was born with an illness. A loving, caring boy who gave himself up because he wanted everyone to be happy. I believe that something happened to him on that night, and he was sent straight towards your land through that water, and you found him and took him. And your village raised him as your own, but he's not. He's Naruto Namikaze, my son. And I've spent the last years believing that he was dead, and now that he's back, I am not going to let him go. The Raikage clenched his fist. So that's all you have, and you believe that it will be enough for you to get away with this, for you to kidnap one of my shinobis and believe that everyone's gonna say that it's alright. And despite all of your claims, he do not even know who you people are, and I'm betting if you are to ask him right now, he will want to return back to my village, his home, where his real family resides, not you. We are his family, said Minato, as he kept his tone level despite the anger that he was resonating right now. Judging from the last couple of years, it does not seem so. You might think that you have the upper hand here, in keeping him here in your village. You might think that you've won, but there's one thing that you cannot control, and that is how the child feels. And he will want to return back home. And there is nothing that I will not do to get him back to my village. So I'm gonna ask you one more time. The Raikage said as the ground started to crack. Do you really want to do this? Because all of this can be solved for you just to hand over my shinobi. Minato closed his eyes for the briefest of seconds before he snapped them back open. I stand firm on what I'm saying. He will be staying here. Before anything could be done, something erupted from the ceiling. The Raikage thought that it was an attack. However, the thing crashed down in the room. Enough! As they turned their gaze towards none other than Naruto? Flashback a few minutes earlier. The envoys that were designated to watch him were on heavy duty guard, as they did not want him to go anywhere close to the Raikage. He could sense them all around. These seals might be holding back his chakra, but his body has been changing lately. Given the fact that he had bowed to Yui whims, well, not completely surrender to her, but enough for her to tell him that he was changing into a higher form of a being. He was becoming stronger. The seals were becoming weaker. His body was absorbing the seals. He could literally start to feel the chakra being undone. A little more and he can overpower it easily. However, Naruto could feel the emotions from where he was. A heightened ability that was pushed to its very limit. He was shocked. He could feel the Raikage rage. He could feel Minato calm, but yet rage underneath that calm. As Naruto had made up his mind, he had a few days to think it over, and there was only one thing that he could do to prevent these two nations from going to war over him. He must once again sacrifice. Naruto gripped his head as he said that, feeling a tremendous amount of pain rock through his brain. He shook his head as it was gone a moment later. That is when he heard footsteps behind him. It did not take too long as he turned to meet the individual. It was his sister, Mito. No words were said between them as they just looked at one another. Natsuma loved Naruto dearly. Everyone in the family did. However, there were certain people that Naruto had more understanding with, and that was Jiraiya and Mito. The both of them seemed to understand him better. It's the others understanding, but this was different. There was a deeper understanding here. As she merely looked at him, sadness started to plague her face, as she could feel it just by looking at him. Don't do this, she said, as she clenched her fists. He looked away from her, glancing over to where the tower was. I have to, he said. No, you don't. Why must it always be you? Why must you always be the one that sacrificed himself? As Naruto turned to face her and stepped forward, tears were in her eyes as they started to fall. His hand raised up as he wiped the tears away and gave her a smile. It's weird, he said. I might not remember you guys, but I can tell in here, as he tapped his chest, that I love all of you dearly. She grabbed his hands. Then don't leave us, she said. Father, said Naruto as he glanced towards the tower. As Mito just looked at him. Will not stop until I'm back. I know the Raikage well, and I know what he will do. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. Father will not back down either. Both villages will not look too good if I were to stay in either. She clenched his hand even tighter. The force that she applied to him was great. I refuse, she said, making Naruto look at her. She looked up at him with steely eyes. I refuse to let you go this time. There is something I can do about it. I don't know what, but there must be something I can do. Last time you left, I felt so useless. I even blame myself that I didn't see the signs. But now, you're right here. And I'm not letting you leave, she said, her tone getting serious. As Naruto sighed, I'm sorry, he said. But you can't exactly keep me here. The markings on his arm and face started to spread. The karma mark spreading over his face. She was blown back as a green force expelled out of his body. She crashed towards the ground. Something flew in and hit her right in the face. It was a letter. As she reached up to grab it, Onvus arrived. They surrounded Naruto. We can't let you leave. I know, and I am sorry, he said. Before they could move, he plunged his fist into the ground. A force expelled from his punch, blowing them all away, as Naruto took off at blinding speeds. The Onvus flashed after him, moving as fast as they could. Mito was still holding on to the letter as she gripped it tight. She then took off as well, running after them. Back towards the present time, Naruto just crashed right through the building. That's enough, he said. He snapped his gaze towards Minato. Even with your promise, I knew that you would not be able to keep your word. Naruto, the Raikage said. I'm sorry, said Naruto. Reaching into his jacket pocket, he pulled out something. It was another letter that he had. He looked towards the Raikage. I can't go back home, he said. Nor can I stay here, as both men just looked at him. There will never be peace if I'm anywhere in one of these countries. He tossed the letter. The Raikage, lightning flickered away as he caught it. What are you saying? He asked, looking towards Naruto. Naruto released a breath as he looked towards the two of them. I'm sorry. Tell them all I'm sorry, he said. He bent his knees. Wait! Minato yelled out. The Raikage took actions as he leaped upward to catch Naruto until Naruto did not jump. That is what they realized. He took off, flying, shocking them as he flew away as fast as he could go. It did not take too long for Mito to arrive as she snapped her head around, looking through the destruction. Where is he? Where is he? She screamed, tears running down her face. He was gone. He was already gone. Time skip. Finding out that Naruto was once again gone had rocked the family. Yes, it had. Kushina had broken down as she wasn't able to stop him this time. She felt like she failed, despite everything that she knew would happen if he had stayed. It was still hard. As for Natsume, she simply went to her room. She just locked herself inside. Minato was unable to save his son once again. It was hard for a father to go through something like that twice, knowing that it was his fault while Naruto was gone. But he knew the Raikage too much. He knew the man would not stand down. The Raikage had attempted to chase Naruto on the ground, but it proved to be useless. Naruto had taken off, giving him no choice but to head back towards the village. It also hit him as well. For the first few months that Naruto was there, it was just normal getting him accustomed to the village, but it's non-stop bothering him of entering his office, hanging out with B, and also calling him Big Bro as well when they were not in official settings. Made the Raikage look down towards him like he was his younger brother. They were all one big happy family. And now Naruto was gone. He let his anger got the better of him. Time after time, Naruto has shown to be a person that would sacrifice everything for the people that he cared about. Why wouldn't he do the same for two villages that would go to war for him? He was upset with himself that he could not prevent the boy leaving. However, as he thought about Yujito, she had no idea about this. She had no idea what took place, and they will have to tell her what happened. He breathed a sigh of relief, knowing how much this would shake her as well. She had taken Naruto on as her own brother, taking him in, treat him like family. The both of them had a secret bond that no one could ever break. He did not open the letter, as he believed that it was something for all of them. As he made his way back towards his village, feeling more upset than ever, he did not even know the future of the Chunin exams, what will even happen in the coming month. All he could do now was head towards his home, as he made his way toward his village. Back at the village, Kanopa, Mito sat on top of the stone of the Hokage the first, as she glanced over the village. Natsume and Naruto when they were younger, they love each other dearly. However, she and Naruto understand things that were different. Naruto always tend to act different around each of them. He knew that she was much more mature, and so was he. Natsume was always like the baby, despite them treating Naruto like such because he was always sickly, as they want to take care of him. Natsume let her emotions got the better of her really fast. However, they were always able to calm her down and make her happy once again. She saw it the moment he heard about what would happen. She knew that this would be the outcome. Time and time again, how could someone be so pure to give everything up? She knew by now that he has grown bonds with the people of Kumo. She had no doubt that he would not be going there. He wouldn't be going anywhere near these two villages. His bonds with the people there was probably great by now, and yet he was willing to give up every single thing just to make sure there is nothing that would cause the ones that he loved to get hurt. He could have stayed and fight for them. He could have fight for either side. He had no memory of them, and yet she sighed to herself. She wished she could have done something to hold him here. Even with all the strength that she has gathered over the past years, she wasn't strong enough to keep him here. She clenched her fist tightly. However, just like before, now she knew, and she will never, ever just stand by. She will find him. There is nothing on this planet that will stop her from finding him and bringing him home. Even if she had to, she would fight her own father and the Raikage himself for them to allow Naruto to be happy. There will be no war, no violence. She didn't care about title anymore. She will fight them herself, it doesn't matter what, because she will reunite with her brother, and nothing and no one will stop that, she thought. Her face was set in serious mode. You could bet your life on that, she will reunite with her brother. She reached as she pulled out something. It was a letter. She had not even shown them this. Everything happened so sudden and everything was so chaotic. As she pulled it and started to read, the more she read, the more tears came to her eyes. He was saying all of this despite having no memories of them. She had to at least let them all see this, to let them understand why he did what he did, and why they will do whatever they can to find him. It doesn't matter what it takes. Time skip. A cave, far away from the land of fire. Howling and screaming could be heard as someone was inside. On the inside there was a fire. Over to the corner was none other than Naruto. He was gripping his head as he pounded his head into the earth, causing it to crack. He slammed his head in the wall as the wall cracked as well. He slammed his head down once again as he blacked out. He was slipping in and out of consciousness. As he found himself in his mindscape, there was no pain in here. Looking up, Yui was standing there, unbothered as usual. "What's happening to me?" said Naruto. She looked at him as her eyes roamed over him. It took a moment for her to speak. "It seems you becoming greater than a human is repairing your broken memories. They were not lost, just fractured. And now, piece by piece, they're being repaired. And that process will be terrible," she said. She looked around. Several doors appeared. As she looked at all of them, as Naruto gripped his head in the Mindscape. "Why is it happening in here?" he screamed out. She sat in her throne. "It seems they're all coming back. Prepare yourself. This is gonna hurt." All the doors flew open. Out of those doors were Naruto. However, these Naruto had blonde hair. Some of them had gray hair. Some of them were sick, some of them were tired, some of them were small. Their body were ghostly as they flew right into him. They slammed into him as Naruto screamed out. Yui glanced up as she saw the sky fluctuating, the ground trembling, everything shaking. It was chaotic. However, she simply leaned back and watched the show. As Naruto was surrounded by a blue energy that flew directly into his skull. It then exploded out in the Mindscape. It also hit her as well, causing her to view those broken memories. Her mind able to handle them without even a shred of problem, as she saw them all in the span of a second. She just watched them calmly, not responding. However, all that blue chakra that came out that she saw rushed back to Naruto. It went through her. Something felt odd, as all of it rushed back into him as he blacked out. She got up and moved towards him, but before she could reach him, though, he vanished. It was almost like a part of her had been took out in that wave. And no, that's not possible, she thought. She's not told him anything about her life rather than that she was better than him, that she was superior to him. Those memories belonged to her and her alone. She did not wish to share them. So how would that be possible? But now that she thought about it, this boy was becoming more Otsutsuki by the day. She doubted he was even human anymore. Could he be actually drawing on her memories as well? That brought a frown to her face. She did not like that. No, she did not. Time skip. The next morning. The cave was still dark. The fire was out by now. Naruto's eyes were open. He's been awake for the past half an hour. The ground underneath him was soaked because of his tears. Last night, everything came back to him. He remembered everything. From day one. The love, the support. Everything. It gripped at his heart. It almost felt like his heart was being torn out of his chest. The pain was unreal. Staggeringly unreal. It was something that he could not even fathom. That night he chose to leave them because he wanted to spare them the pain of watching him die. And now he had to do the same thing again. He felt different. He knew that he was Naruto Namikaze, but he was also Naruto of Kumo as well. The first 6 years of his life he was with his family, and then the remainder he found a new family. And he loved them each. Some way. His big sister Yujito. That brought a pain to his heart even more. His team, his sensei, the Raikage, B, all of his friends back home. And then there was his mother, his father, his two sisters. Everything. As Naruto rolled over, feeling frustrated. However, there wouldn't be peace if he chose one of them. The thought of any of them dying because of him, that left a bitter taste in his mouth. So he will do what he do best, and swallow everything. He would simply swallow it all and lock it away, in the deepest recess of his mind. Yes, he remembered, but he would simply block it out. Pretend like he did not have any feelings, because if he were to open it, it would just be too painful. He pulled himself up as he released a breath. Slowly but surely he made his way towards the entrance of the cave. He looked down towards his stomach. Minato had placed one of his Hiraishin seals on him. However, because of the Karma seal, it absorbed it, so he would not be able to track him. As Naruto walked out, feeling lost and so empty. However, there was someone. He reached into the back of his pants and pulled out something. It was a seal. A sealing scroll. As he opened it and unsealed what was inside, there was clothing, money, and a large map, and all sorts of things to help him survive for a long while. The one that gave him this was flashback. Naruto was looking over Konoha as he stood on the monument. It did not take too long for the person to reveal himself. "Twice in one day, huh?" said Naruto. "What can I say? I miss a lot of years," said Jiraiya as he stood beside Naruto. "Huh, I guess you did," he said. There was a brief silence between them. "You're gonna leave. Or at least try, aren't you?" Naruto did not say anything. "Don't worry, I understand," said Jiraiya. "I understand what it feels like to search for peace, to try at least find it or at least be the one to bring it. I've spent my entire life trying to bring peace. When I spoke to you at the hot springs in Kumo, what you told me that day, I knew that you and I share the same ideal and the same goal. Your father, he's a very passionate person. However, he's also stubborn as well. It did not show much in his earlier days, but the more he grew, the stress of the job, the understanding. Even if your father does not want to push a war, the council will be pushing it as well. Especially a man here known as Danzo Shimura. That man will stop at nothing to get you back, even if it's for his own, well, mixing deals. He always wanted to see Konoha at top, and in order for that to happen, the other villages must fall below. But doing so will only bring chaos and destruction, and we both don't want that to happen. Your father might be powerful, but there are still some more powerful people out there." "I know," said Naruto. Jiraiya handed Naruto a scroll. As Naruto took it, money, food, clothing, map, all sorts of things to help you survive for a while. Until Naruto asks, "Until I rectify this." Naruto glanced towards him as Jiraiya grinned. "Don't worry, kid, I'm on it. I'll speak to your father and I'll personally go to Kumo as well and talk to the Raikage." "They won't be happy," said Naruto. "I know they won't. But eventually, they will put this behind them and see that you're only doing this to keep them all safe." "At least I hope," said Jiraiya. "They both can be extremely stubborn." "Yeah," said Naruto. "I never thought that I would get any help with this." "Huh, I guess you and I was really close, huh?" "More than you know, kid," said Jiraiya. "But more than that, you understand what it means to be a true shinobi. You put everything first, to show that you care, to show that you can stand and protect. And I respect that more than you even know," said Jiraiya. "And I'll do my part. There's a seal inside the scroll. Think of it as a Harashin seal. Oh, speaking of that, he has one on you." "Don't worry," said Naruto. "I can remove it." Jiraiya raised an eyebrow at that, but he said nothing. "Alright, kid," he said. "As for that seal, I'll use it when things are better for you to return. But for now, you have to be on the move. This world is a very big place. I know you're far stronger than you look, but still, be very careful out there. Do you understand me? If things get too bad, use the seal. It will summon a toad, which will be able to summon me to help you, okay?" "Yeah, thanks," said Naruto with a smile. Jiraiya smiled back. "Be careful," he said. "I will, Pervis H," he said to him, with a chuckle, causing Jiraiya to chuckle as well. "Damn brat," he said, with a cheeky smile of his own. End of flashback. Naruto smiled to himself. However, for now, he had to keep on moving. There is no doubt that they will try to find him. However, before he could move, something was on his mind, something else. He focused as he remained calm. "Yui," he said. There was no response at first until, after about a good 10 seconds. What? She said. He was used to her rude behavior by now. I want to ask you something. What is it? She asks. Do you know anyone that is named Kanto? There was a silence after Naruto said that name. He could feel the anger from her. Listen to me and listen to me well, human, she said. Her tone was not pleased at all. Don't you ever, and I mean ever, say that name again, if you know what is good for you. With that, she blocked him out completely. As Naruto blinked in confusion, the name Kanto had popped onto his mind. He also saw strange images which Yui was involved. Somehow it seems like he got piece of her memories, which was really weird. However, it seemed to be personal. Naruto sighed as he sealed back away the stuff, as he picked up the map. He had to go somewhere where they wouldn't be able to find him, somewhere where they do not think he would ever go to. And he knew the perfect place, because right now, it was not stable, but at least he could hide there. So with that, he packed his things as he headed off, trudging through as he was out of the forest, making his way. Because of his flying ability, it allowed him to clear a long distance really quickly. So despite him being asleep for some few hours, they would not be able to find him. With that, he took off once again, making his way straight up as he flew through the sky. Time skip. It was the village of Kumo. She stretched as she was back home. That was one long mission, she thought to herself. As she was making her way towards the office to report to the Raikage and see if Naruto was back, a smile came on her face. She couldn't wait to hear what he did. There was no doubt in her mind that he'd dominate the exams. She doubted that any genin could actually keep up with him. Her brother was ridiculously strong and powerful, on his own right as well. She doubted that any of them could make him submit. She smiled, feeling happier than ever, now that she was back home, and that she would be able to watch the finals with him in it, because there was no doubt that he made it to the finals. So with that, she headed towards the tower. Arriving there, something seemed off. A few people gave her strange looks and they averted their eyes. The past had been a bit shaky, but times were different now, so she doubted that it was that. You sense it too, kitten. She heard the voice in her head, from none other than the Nibby, the two-tailed cat. Yeah, something doesn't seem right. She started to increase her pace. As she arrived, she noticed that Mabi was not there. Now that was strange. She knocked on the door, as she heard the voice said come in, so she stepped inside. The moment she saw him, she asked, "What's wrong?" The Raikage looked at her. It seemed that she already picked up on several signs coming here already. The news was not all over, but a few individuals saw Team Daru coming back without Naruto. Some of them expected and thought the worst. As the Raikage looked at her, she started to get nervous as she saw the man not responding back to her. As she gulped, "What's wrong?" she asked, looking at him. It was then that he finally decided to speak. "It's Naruto." She had to hold on to the couch to steady herself to make sure that she did not fall over. "Yeah? What's wrong with him?" she asked. The Raikage looked at her. Being the serious man that he was, he said it out flat, in one quick sentence. Her whole world seemed to freeze up, as she did not say anything. She was quiet, her bangs hanging down in her face. She did not move, she did not respond. She was just simply quiet. The Raikage looked at her. He knew that it was coming. It might seem like it was not, but it was coming. And he was right. All hell broke loose afterwards. Time skip. Yujito sat in shackles. Her hands were bound. Her legs were bound as well. The room was suppressing her chakra. She had a few cuts and torn on her clothing. The reason why she was here was, after telling her what happened, she went into a fit of rage to go to Konoha herself and create chaos and destruction. However, the Raikage, who understand the severity of the situation, could not let her. But love was able to prevail over her loyalty, it seems. She was even willing to go through him, to go there. Because this was their fault, and now Naruto was gone. She lost herself in rage for a moment, even willing to transform. They were able to subdue her though, without harming her that much. However, she sent many Jonins to the hospital, and many Chonins as well, to be thankful that no one was killed, be even had to step in. And there was a lot of damage. The Raikage stood at her cell looking down at her. You will stay in there until you cool off. I told you that we're gonna find Naruto, and we're gonna bring him back here. As he walked off, leaving her there. However, she was not much responsive. She was just leaning there in her cell, as she couldn't believe it. She remembered, and he told her that everything was going to be okay. He was now alone out in the world. There was so much dangerous people out there. And if anyone were to find out who he actually was, now with his link to the Hokage, not to mention with the power that he had inside of him, they will no doubt try to use him. And this was all those Leaf Ninjas' fault. Her hands dug into the ground. Rage, threatening to take over once again, but her body was heavily suppressed. She was angry. Yes, tremendously so. She didn't care for anything or anything else at the moment. Naruto had been the one person that brought her happiness back in her life. Not to say that she was truly on the verge of depression. However, she lost every family that she had at a young age. The Raikage and her were connected. Yes, they were not close family, but they were indeed family. The Raikage's father and her family was connected. That is one of the reasons why she was chosen to be the two-tail holder. She lost everyone. He was her last relative that she had. That was the current Raikage's father. He was the one that trained her when she lost her parents when she was younger. And at the same time, he was grooming his son to take over. Back then, she was extremely young. However, if it wasn't for him, she wouldn't have been the upstanding Kunoichi she was today. Her and the Raikage was connected, but the relation was thin. Her and his father, though, were connected, and that was already thin, so it was extremely thinner when it came to his son. But she did respect A. She respected him greatly, and she saw him as the leader that he is. A proud, strong leader. However, she connected with Naruto. Maybe it was because of the long years of exposure to her, tenant, that gave her certain feline feelings and attraction and attachment. She saw Naruto as her brother, someone that brought this happiness back in her life. And now she lost him. There was no telling what would happen to him out there. And it was those damn Leaf Ninjas' fault, trying to kidnap him. And she couldn't help herself but went berserk. Now she was here as she leaned back, having no idea what to do, or how to save him. She didn't even know where he was. The world was such a big place. But she blamed the Hidden Leaf for all of this. It was all their fault. She was not the only one that was suffering though. Samui sat on top of the hill that Naruto had brought her to when he had jumped off. There were tears in her eyes. She always joked that they were gonna get married, this or that. However, she cared for Naruto deeply. More than one could even imagine. At first, the reason why she befriended him was because of his sister. She idolized her. But over time, she started to like him. Yes, he became her friend. Someone that she could rely on. Someone that she could trust. Yes, he did. And now he was gone. They had no idea where he was, or if they could even find him. The Raikage came back and told them that news. It shattered something inside of her, and she didn't know how she was gonna get him back here. He was always willing to do whatever it takes to make sure the people he loved was okay. She was able to hear the letter. She being one of his precious people, she was able to hear it. He didn't want them to suffer because of him. He didn't want them to go to war because of him. She could tell that this affected the Raikage because, well, he wouldn't stand for anything less. And now he was gone. And she didn't know if she would ever see him again. Because in his mind he was doing this to save them all. Once one is focused on their goal, they did not let it go. And Naruto was stubborn, yes he was. She lowered her head, not knowing what to do, as she felt so useless right now. It's not like she could just run away and go and search for him. And she feel like if she did not, she would never find him. Time skip. Naruto was resting on a boat. It would not take him to his destination, which was Kiri, because of the problem going on there right now. However, it would bring him close to the coast, where he can make it on his own from there. He had what he needed. He spent a few days now doing some research. There was a rebel group that was trying to stop Yagura, the fourth Mizukage who was causing chaos there. He sentenced all the bloodline users to death, and Naruto intended to help the rebel group there. He was different. He dyed his hair black. He was also wearing contacts to make his eyes brown as well, rather common. And he also had a body paint that he used to cover his markings, the karma markings on his hand. It felt strange, but it was something he had to do. He was also wearing a face mask, and he was going by the name Ringo. Yes, he was Ringo. That was it, no last name. As he traversed for some days before, he paid to get on a boat who were dropping off some shipment. Granted, they didn't want to get too close, but he told them that he did not need them to get close, he just needed them to bring him as close as they could. They agreed as he paid. And now he was resting. He had to do something while he was on the run. And also he had to get stronger as well. The problem was Yui would not talk to him. Jiraiya did hand him some scrolls, yes. There was some scrolls sealed away in the large scroll that he gave him, on a lot of affinities, increasing them to level 2, gain a better mastery, and also fighting styles as well. This fighting style was the hummingbird fighting style. This was one that the 4th Hokage used. There was also the technique, the Rasengan of the 4th Hokage. Given that it was his father, Jiraiya wanted him to have it. Jiraiya would not tell anyone until he was able to start things out, to at least make them focus on working with each other and not go to war. That was all that Naruto wanted. They can sort out everything else later. However, both men were stubborn, and he had no doubt that the both of them were currently searching for him, but they would not find him. He wasn't even sure if the information got out to anyone else, because if that was the case, this would be bad. Really, really bad. Time skip. Naruto got off said boat, as he was now walking. The place was filled with mist. He would fly, but he did not want to give away his position. As he looked around, he could sense no one in the vicinity. However, chakra was in the mist, to show that it was not normal. That is when Naruto picked up on fighting up ahead. As he quickly made his way towards the location, as he arrived, he noticed that there were two sets of fighting. There were one off to the west, far away from the one off to the south. Moving toward the south location, Naruto came across a long dark-haired individual that was trapped in the middle of a couple of guys. As Naruto saw the person had a mask, why did that person look so familiar? He was not seeing the face, and yet he felt like he met this person before. It was really stupid of you to come back here. You could have lived and restart your clan. Your disgusting, vile bloodline clan somewhere else. But yet you come back here. However, I suppose it's good for us, one of the men said. We can finally get rid of the Yuki clan. Yuki, Naruto thought. He remembered on the bridge, ice. All those months ago back in Land of Wave. That was that individual with the ice Genkai. Meanwhile, in the center, Haku's eyes narrowed all around to the individuals around them. Things did not turn out as they thought. There were several crates that Haku was protecting. This was a pickup job for them to gather supply and bring it back to the base. However, somehow they found where they were taken and they arrived here to find them. Zabuza-sama had been cut off from him and he was over there fighting. Damn it, he thought to himself looking around. He was surrounded. Haku was strong and fast, but these guys, they were trained to fight bloodline users. And the bloodlust that was reeking from them, they all wanted to kill him. He had to fight to take them down. He could not afford to hold himself back, otherwise he would not make it out alive. And he had to protect the supplies. They were running out. Unlike the Mizukage, they had to secretly go for their supplies. They had less numbers. That was because they didn't want to bring Kiri economy to a collapse. All the ones that fought against them to be re-educated to understand that they were fighting for a madman. Zabuza-sama and him were found by a few Kiri ninjas some time ago as they went to pick up the shipment. And the others were forced to spread out, and he was left here because of certain situations, and now he had to protect the supplies. Slowly but surely he started to form ice needles, preparing himself. There were 6 of them. They had the numbers of spear, all of them holding some sort of weapon. As he got himself ready, that was until the censor of the group snapped his head around. However, it was too late. Whatever it was just too fast. Something slammed right into his face. "Cover your eyes!" a voice shouted out. Haku didn't know why, but it seems like that voice was aimed towards him, so he did what he was told. He covered his eyes. As he felt the tingling, a bright light enveloped the entire area. All the ninjas were forced to squint as their eyes were hit by the bright lights. They screamed. Naruto landed right in the center after releasing that flash. A lightning flash. Noticing the crates as he noticed this individual in the center. He was not sure of the Yuki name. However, he had to move fast. They were already adjusting. These guys were good. As Naruto created several lightning clones. "It's alright," the real Naruto said as he grabbed on to Haku. "I'm here to help," and took off. The others grabbed onto the crate, leaving 2 of them behind. As the ninjas regained their vision, "I don't know who the hell you are, brat, but you just boom!" The lightning clones exploded in a violent blast, throwing them back. As Naruto was holding Haku and moving, he realized that 2 of them had escaped his blast, and they were coming after him. "Hold on tight," he said. "Wait, what are you?" Naruto leaped as he threw Haku in the sky. While he was in mid-air, Naruto fly through hand sign. He took in a deep breath. "Wind style, sickle cutter," he said. Several sickles made of wind came down at high pressure. All of his clones with the crate had moved off to different location. Given his ridiculous strength, he could move off with them with rather ease and still keep up his speed, and that were his clones. As Haku was falling to his demise, that he realized he could feel the pressure down below. The ninjas had to dodge, and they did. Despite the mist, their eyes were well trained to see through it. However, Naruto smirked because he was not done yet as he finished the last set of hand sign. Sickle retract. The ninjas' eyes widened as their legs and arms were sliced. They screamed out. Their limbs were not removed, however. They were shocked that someone could control wind to that extent. So when they dodged, they did not expect it to come back, and not to mention, with how they could no longer see the vibration because it was no longer in front of them. They could not dodge. As Naruto caught Haku. Told you everything was going to be okay, he said, as he took off. Haku was shocked when Naruto's feet pressed into the earth and took, flying to the sky. He blinked in absolute shock. How are you flying? That's not the important thing right now, said Naruto, as he moved off. On the other side, Zabuza could feel Haku's chakra retreating, so he decided to do the same, as he could feel strange signatures as well. They were not here to fight after all, they were here to get the supplies. As he caused distraction by sucking the water out of the air and creating a massive water dragon to slam down in front of him. When Zabuza eventually caught up to the both of them, he mistook the situation for this person attacking Haku as he ran forward. Naruto turned as he saw a massive blade coming down towards him. But guys, be in subscribe right here. If you want this person to do, like, subscribe, comment down below, and turn on that bell notifications they posted. Remember, share this with all of your friends and your social media platform. But I'm off now, see you guys soon. Peace.